Yeah, it's one of those, it's the trite but true, right? You kill them with flattery.
Right.
Hey, oh, wise one, will you help us? And it's like, I don't know much more than they do, but they've at least said, hey, I would value your feedback. And I feel the same way about them. So frequently I would write back and say, hey, I am going to try your app. Would you also try ours?
This is the Sales Babble Podcast.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Welcome, Brandon. Are you ready to babble?
Let's do it.
You and I were exchanging emails the other day, and you were saying you're really interested in this whole idea of like what's not working in sales today. Is that really true? Has sales really changed a lot? I know the tech has changed. There's no doubt about that. But has sales fundamentally really changed?
I mean, it's a great question from the perspective of, has anything really changed since people started trading, right? Thousands of years ago. So there's a lot of it that remains the same, right? The core things about providing value and buying stuff that you want and or need remains. But certainly, I've been seeing some trends emerge since we started 6 years ago. Things have changed in how we do sales. And I also notice as a self-aware or perhaps self-conscious person that a lot of how I'm interacting with how people are trying to sell to me has changed. So I would say in the last year, 18 months, I'm a lot less responsive by email. I used to open more emails and I used to respond to more emails than I do now. And I'm also almost unreachable at this point by phone. So I know the people that are going to call me that I'm looking forward to their call, and everybody else, I'm not answering the phone. So a lot of those strategies we're seeing play out also as we try to sell. We struggle to get people on cold calls. That doesn't mean cold calls don't work, but I think the rate at which they work has dropped, or at least that's what we're seeing in our industry. And the same for email. I think it used to be a race to build the biggest email list. And if you had the biggest list, you won. So 1,000 better than 100, 10,000 better than 1,000. Now you can have a pretty big list, but unless the message really resonates or unless you have very clever ways to cut through all the clutter that all of us receive daily, right? Hundreds of emails in our inbox, then it's hard to stand out and it's hard to get meaningful conversations started, which means it's harder to sell. So some of the things that I feel like worked for several years have stopped working, or at least have stopped working as well as they used to.
How do you overcome this?
Boy, you try to get smart fast and try a lot of stuff. So we're still trying a lot of stuff, and some of it just plain doesn't work. But a few things I think that we're finding do work. And one is to be essentially eminently reachable. And what does that mean? I mean, if you can't reach someone by phone, you can't reach them by email, we try to make ourselves reachable. So that means posting your calendar online. Not all of the various and sundry details of your calendar, but just when are you free, when are you busy, and making it really, really easy for your prospects, your customers to schedule time with you, right? Because it's their world. We want to sell to them, but they're in control of the transaction. They're in control of when they want to be reached and when they want to have a conversation. So we try to make it really, really easy for folks to schedule time with us. And I appreciate when vendors do that for me as well, right? I might browse a webinar, read a case study, download a white paper, but I'm still not ready. But when I am ready, I want to be able to quickly grab time with them and let them show me their solution if it's software, or send me a version of the product so I can try it out if it's a physical product. So that, I think, right now has emerged as kind of our number one strategy, just to be very reachable.
So the idea is here that so it's not so much like you're doing an outbound, it's to set yourself up in a situation where there's going to be more inbound.
Yeah,
for lots of reasons. Like I think of like a lot of people don't have phone numbers on their LinkedIn. They don't have emails on their LinkedIn. It's
right.
And at the same time,
they're
they
not
say
sharing their phone number anymore.
And they also
in their email signature.
And they also say, the Google study showed that 60% of the sales happens online before you ever contact a salesperson.
Yeah, people are doing a tremendous amount of research. I think mileage may vary on that type of stat, because we've seen a lot of research that bears that out. Folks are doing a tremendous amount of browsing online. They're downloading materials. They're viewing things passively. YouTube videos, webcasts, webinars, et cetera, before they reach out. At the same time, when I look at my own buying behavior, I frequently jump straight into the demo. So before I've watched a webinar or downloaded anything or really browsed the website completely, I'll put in a demo request just because I figure straight to the horse's mouth. I want to hear it from the team. Tell me in 10 to 15 minutes the core things that your solution can do. I can ask the questions that are top of mind for me on that call, and then I can make a go, no-go decision whether I want to do more research. So to the extent that there's other people buying like I've seen myself buy, then I think sometimes people are coming in having done pretty close to zero research. They're just kind of taking a flyer. This might work for me. I really don't know, though, because I haven't done any reading and I don't want to take the time to do it. So please show me what you have.
That makes total sense. That makes total sense.
So yeah, we really see a mix of folks that come in and they've got 57 questions based on comparative research between 5 or 6 applications that they've been vetting. And so they have very particular questions about our application, Cirrus Insight. How does it work? What features does it have, et cetera? And then others come in and they're really starting from scratch. What is your application and what does it do?
Right. You guys sell software, right?
Yeah, we sell software as a service primarily to salespeople and sales teams. Our history is 6 years ago, we were the first application to connect Gmail with Salesforce. So that cohort, Gmail users who also use Salesforce, comprise 90+% of our customers. Now we also make apps that connect Outlook with Salesforce and mobile apps, and also a standalone app for Gmail that you can use even without Salesforce. But nevertheless, some people will come in and really deep, detailed questions about, hey, does Cirrus Insight support our record types and custom objects and custom fields in Salesforce and all these terms of art that really get into the administration and sales operations side of the house. And others are coming in and saying, hey, I heard you have something for Gmail that will help me to work better, faster, more efficiently, connect with my customers, see if they read my emails, help me schedule meetings faster. And so there we're really starting from scratch to explain the overall value proposition. Whereas for sales operations teams, it's really, hey, let's get into the weeds and figure out how you've architected your process and how we can fit in.
What if you're selling an innovation, though? What if you're selling something that people haven't thought about, people that might not Google about, and you want to get in front of people? How would you do that?
Yeah, I think just this last week, I started a couple free trials of some applications, both of which were cold emails. So again, it's not that anything just stops working wholesale, like email doesn't work. I think that'd be a mistake to say that. We still send a lot of very effective email. But I think volume-wise, we've seen it start to trail off. But these 2 emails were excellent, and they just said, hi, I'm a fellow founder. I've created a new application. It does this. I'd really appreciate if you were to do, the 1 or 2 or 3 click install or trial, and then if you'd send me the feedback, because you're also a founder, you're in the game, and you can tell me what we've done right, what we've done not right, and happy to swap notes. And so I appreciated the fact they were reaching out, and they had done a little research, and they also were open to feedback, which we all are, right? All of us make software, and so we need to be open to, what can we do to improve our applications. And so I like that. And I went and installed both because I really appreciated the thousands of people that did that for Cirrus Insight when we first launched and provided us a ton of feedback that helped us improve the application. So those worked.
What I like about that is it wasn't a sales pitch. It was, I wonder if you could give me some advice, because I'm in a situation that's similar to a place that you've been, and you're the savvy CEO founder. Maybe you could give me some coaching and advice on this.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's the trite but true, right? You kill them with flattery.
Right.
Hey, oh, wise one, will you help us? And it's like, I don't know much more than they do, but they've at least said, hey, I would value your feedback. And I feel the same way about them. So frequently I would write back and say, hey, I am going to try your app. Would you also try ours? And let us know if you think it'd be useful in building your business as you go forward. And that way we can, schedule a call and trade notes. And yeah, I think it's an important reminder to the extent that all of us are selling on the internet these days. Ego is kind of one of the founding principles of the internet, if not sales in general. And so if you can appeal to folks' ego and say, hey, I respect your opinion, I would like to get your feedback, and I'd like to spend time with you, then frequently people would take you up on it. Meanwhile, 99% of the emails out there are, I have something and I want to show it to you. I'm going to do this to you with my service or my product. And I think you're going to love it because other people, name 5 companies, also love it. And yeah, we've all kind of grown tired of that, right? And it's always the same companies that are using their app as every other app or every other service. And so, all of us, kind of our BS meter goes up, and I just don't think I want to do that to myself. And we look elsewhere.
So far what I've got here is that the way to overcome this, this problem that what's not working in selling is to make yourself more reachable, make it easy for people to give a demo. What else you got for us?
Yeah, I think, kind of loop back to the emails that worked on me. I think it's a little bit of vulnerability. I've built this thing. It's early. It's in beta. I'd like to get some feedback. I don't know if it's good yet or not. Yeah, will you tell me? And I think that helps to pique curiosity. To give an example that we sent out last week that we're having good results with is, we sent an email out that was just a little bit different than normal. We said, hey, a couple weeks ago, we acquired a company from Sweden. And so that hooks people a little bit. They're like, well, that's kind of interesting. That's different. That's not your normal email. And that sounds like it might have been a neat experience. And the reason we acquired it is because they make a really slick application that lets you track your attachments. So I send you a slide deck or a proposal, and I can watch you view it in real time. And it's really cool. And our sales team is using it, and we'd like you to see it too. We think you might like it. And people were like, that does sound kind of interesting, right? People are pretty used to now being able to track email opens. I send you an email, you open it, I get an alert. We do that. Cool. But being able to watch in real time, view your slide deck. So you know what's resonating with them, what slides they're on. You can call them and say, hey, I just want to follow up on the slide deck. And oh, what a coincidence. I'm looking at it right now. I know you are. You're on slide 8. You're stuck there. My pricing proposal is on slide 10. I really want you to look at that. It's interesting, right? So it captures the imagination and people get curious. And I think unless the messaging, whether it's an email or a phone call or voicemail, although I think phone and voicemails are hard to pique that curiosity. And as an aside, I don't like the strategy, even though it works sometimes, and it's worked on me a couple of times, where people leave a message, hey, this is Brandon, call me back. Here's my number. That makes you curious because you think maybe you're supposed to know who they are and call them back. But it is, it's a little bit of trickery. And so it doesn't usually work out in the end. That's going to be a hard sale to close.
Brandon,
but otherwise, if you can stoke curiosity, that's a fast path.
See, I think it's really all about truly understanding the value and making remarkable things. I was reading an article last week with Seth Godin that if you build really great stuff, people will come to you. So let's take this voicemail. If I left that voicemail that was similar more to like the email that you got, we have this thing that provides this great amount of value. I don't know if you have that problem or you have that need, but if you do the 3-click install.
Right. Yeah. No, I think if it's short and sweet and provides that call to action that's relatively easy for the recipient to do. So I think the whole, call me back so that we can call each other back 5 or 6 times and do kind of a dance and waste each other's time. That one's a hard one. But if it's hey, I'm just leaving this voicemail to let you know about this, and this is where you can go to get it. And, call me if you need something, but otherwise there's no need for us to play phone tag, I think is respectful of the prospect's time. And I think probably most of us will see better results that way.
Yeah. So what else we got? Vulnerable emails, demo requests, reachable. What else?
One interesting one that's worked for us historically, and we kind of caught on to this a while back and studied it for a while because it confused us so much, is that we had and still have a rep that was scheduling more calls, more follow-up demonstrations than everybody else, like 3 times more. And so we went to him and said, we want to learn from you. What are you doing? What's the secret? And he said, I just keep it pretty simple. I use the same script for my calls no matter what the prospect says. And we thought that sounds kind of weird, right? Usually there's branches to the phone script, right? If prospect says X, respond with Y. If they say A, respond with B. So we said, well, go ahead and walk us through an example of how these calls go. So we said, okay. So I'll call and say, hey, I'd like to show you Cirrus Insight. Would you like to see a demo? And if the prospect says yes, and Max is his name, then Max would say, great. How about Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning? And then they would book the demo. And we said, okay, run it back the other way. What if the prospect says no? He said, well, sure. So I call and I say, hey, I'd like to show you Cirrus Insight. Would you like to see a demo? And the prospect says, no, thank you. And then Max would say, great. How about Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning? And we were like, we don't get it. And that works? And he said, yeah, it works great. And so we sat on that one for quite a while and tried to study why that was successful in scheduling demos, because we're kind of trained in sales to create a yes pattern, right? Ask a question that you know the answer is going to be yes and create a series of yeses so that when you get to your real ask, the prospect's used to saying yes and they just say it. And here he had gotten an initial no and then was able to schedule the demo. And the way that I analogized it, and it's kind of a torture analogy, is that in college I had a truck and everyone would ask me, hey, we're moving on Saturday. Will you come help me? Because you have a truck, you can help me move. And so at some point, after helping, dozens of friends, you're sort of like, no, I'm busy. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. But if they came back and said, oh, well, I don't know what you're doing on Saturday, but we're moving really early in the morning. Can you come help us at like 6 in the morning? Then the problem you have is that what possibly could you be doing at 6 in the morning that you couldn't help them move, right? And so what Max, I think, had done is succeed in allowing the prospect to say a general, no, I'm not available, kind of a white lie. But then when he asked them specifically about a date and a time, they actually felt obliged to check their calendar. They noticed that they were available, and then they would assent to the demo. And so it was a strange little psychology trick. And I think mileage may vary, but certainly for those of you out there listening, it's worth a try because it's worked pretty well for us. And that's a random one, right? You have to try it to see if that stuff works, because I could not, if I had sat down for 100 hours and come up with sales call scripts, I feel confident I never would have come up with that one, because I never would have branched from a no to next propose a date and time. I always would have gone to an objection handling or something. And Max skipped all that. There's no need to, no need to handle the objection. It was just ignore just go straight to the meeting. I want the meeting.
Are you free for a demo Wednesday at 10 o'clock? No. Okay. Okay. So 11 o'clock would be better.
Right. I mean, hey, are you free for a demo? And no, I'm really not interested. Okay. How about Wednesday at 10? And it's like, what? Okay. Yeah, I guess I am free Wednesday at 10. I'll see you at the demo.
See.
Great.
Well, that just makes a person feel confused, like they didn't hear you.
It could, and it could backfire. I mean, I always go to, I'm 6'8", and so I don't fit in a lot of cars. And I remember going to a car lot and sitting in a car, which I didn't fit in. Right, my head's rubbing against the roof, the ceiling of the car, and then I couldn't turn the steering wheel all the way left. It would catch on my knee. And so I told the salesperson, I said I like the car a lot overall, but I just simply can't sit in it, and it would be unsafe. So, I can't do it. And to which they followed up, well, would you like to take it for a test drive? And I was like, well, no. Why would I want to test drive a car I can't fit in and that I definitely don't want to get? But they were just following their script, right? So in that case, that didn't work. He tried to jump to the test drive, and I had already said no, and I wasn't going to change my mind about it.
I don't like that. I have to tell you, I don't like that. It's just not listening.
Right.
Yeah.
I
think it'd be more. They're not qualified. Okay, so let's just say you hoodwink them into doing the demo. They may not be qualified.
They may not. Right. You may not have taken enough time.
And you just wasted all this time giving a demo, to somebody who wouldn't buy it anyway. Yeah. I don't like it.
You have to track that stuff.
So this is the question.
Carefully.
Okay, so Brandon, this is a question. Now you said he was able to get more appointments. He's what would you say 3x everybody else?
Yeah.
But was he getting more sales?
He was. It wasn't 3x more. but because of the number of demos, it became in some respects a numbers game. So it wasn't you had 3x more demos and 3x more sales. It was 3x more demos and a time and a half more sales. Because we knew our conversion rate, and they by and large still converted at that rate, maybe half the rate. They weren't as qualified because they hadn't had a long conversation. But we knew we were only calling into what we thought would be a pretty good fit for the application, pretty good target market, which wasn't guaranteed, but we did our best to pre-research. And again, and this strategy goes back even a couple of years of stuff that we tried, but still, it's things that will drop for a while and then retry them again to see if they work. And I think a lot of sales is like that. I feel like, early on, we were felt like we were missing the boat. We weren't doing webinars. So we did webinars and they worked great. And then it seemed like everyone got tired of attending webinars for like 6 months or a year. And so I was like, well, what happened? That was a great channel for us. And then it came back and everyone wanted to do webinars again. So a lot of these things, I feel like you ride them and then they drop in popularity. They just don't work for a while. And then it comes back with a vengeance. And I think we may be seeing the ebb and flow in terms of, cold emails and cold phone calls do the same thing. It may be very hard to reach people right now. And then new strategies, whether it's, hooking folks with really intriguing subject lines, or like you say, the best possible thing to create a product with great value that people come to you because they desperately want to see it or find out more or be part of a movement, will help us to bring those rates back up again.
Yep. Very interesting. How can people find you, Brandon?
So I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn. Brandon Bruce is my full name, so you can find me there. Our website is cirrusinsight.com. Cirrus like the cloud, Cirrus. People have called us Serious Insight, which I don't mind because it makes us sound really serious about sales. Last year, someone called us Citrus Insight.
Uh-oh.
And so we made a video that we were an orange juice company, which was kind of fun. And then what else have we had people say? Oh, I was introduced last year at a conference as the co-founder of Cirrus Insight, which to me just sounded like a lot of fun. So I'm hopeful that my next startup will be like that. Cirrus Insight. We provide insights into circuses, which are kind of a dying breed anyway.
Yeah, that's a shrinking market.
It's a shrinking market, but yeah, easy to find us online at Cirrus Insight. So we're most well known as the application that connects Gmail and Outlook with Salesforce, and now we've branched out and acquired that Swedish company we talked about that does attachment tracking, and we have a standalone version just for Gmail users that does templates and drip campaigns and meeting scheduling and all those kind of power tools for email that helps us get work done faster.
And if people were to go to your website and click a demo and like it, you would kindly offer a discount, right?
Yeah, definitely. For those of you listening here on Sales Babble, do let your salesperson know that you heard about us on the podcast, and we'll hook you up with a 20% discount. And then if you want to contact Pat directly, we'll run a little contest if you guys want to be entered for some swag. We've got, I think, the softest hoodies I have ever owned are our Cirrus Insight hoodies. So we'll give a couple of those away. And then we have some strangely popular, very small stuffed plushy unicorns that people take photos of and post them on Instagram, and they love them. So whether you want to put one on your desk or give it to your kids, or as some people do, give it to their dog. It doesn't last long that way. But we've seen some kind of fun videos of dogs enjoying our small Cirrus Insight plush unicorns. You go ahead.
So we'll do unicorn.
That.
Awesome.
A Cirrus Insight unicorn. That's right.
Brandon, thank you. Thank you very much for visiting us here. This has been a ton of fun.
Hey, it's great to chat with you.
Got a question, got a comment? Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are easy to find at salesbabble.com. Click on the link Babble Me. Until next week, take care and have a highly successful selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.